Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the Selby series. Selby is one of 11 subdivisions of the county of North Yorkshire. It's made up of 74 civil parishes, a lot of which are very small. Which one are we in this week? Welcome back to the district of Selby, everybody, and if you watched last week's episode you'll know exactly where I am, because this was where I ended the Sherburn in Elmet episode, and it's where I'm beginning today's. That's a very familiar railway bridge. It's still raining, so it's going to be fun to walk around in the rain, and we're heading this way towards the parish of South Milford. This Selby episode is sponsored by Past Days, a family history blog by June Terrington. You'll find a link in the description. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. South Milford is located directly to the south of Sherburn in Elmet in the district of Selby, almost seamlessly conjoined to its much larger neighbour. It hasn't always been that way. Traditionally an agricultural village, much like Sherburn, the population has recently boomed due to housing development. South Milford is now generally considered a commuter village for nearby towns and cities because of the local motorway network, which includes the A1M, M1 and M62. Teasels used to be grown here. They were important to the textile trades. They're like natural combs and they were used to raise the nap on fabrics. Some people still use them today, believe it or not. You may recall the Kirkby Wharfe with North Milford episode where we mentioned the name. Milford literally means the ford by the mill. South, of course, implies that there were two crossings. The watercourse in question is the Mill Dyke, which separates South Milford from Sherburn, forming much of, but not all of, the parish boundary between the two. That's why South Milford Station is actually in Sherburn. South Milford's proudest local event is a large firework display and bonfire each November. The event has been running for some 25 years. Let's see what else the village has to be proud about. We begin on Milford Road in Sherburn in Elmet, where there's another turnpike stone to go with the one from last week. We're not in South Milford until we get over Mill Dyke. That means officially the first landmark in South Milford is the Swan, located at what's known as the Cross. Oat Pub describes this as a community pub offering good value food and beer. This used to be a shop. I know that thanks to a pair of local builders who stopped me at this point, wondering what I was doing. I'm sorry fellas if you're watching, I forgot the name of your company. We walk along the high street and it's not long before we're finding amenities. Here we have South Milford Surgery. This has its own pharmacy as well. Next is an old Methodist chapel. This is the second one the village has had. The first, dating from 1818, was known as the Little Chapel, and it was right next to this one, which opened in 1875. That's a good start, a couple of landmarks out of the way already, and there's another one here. This house, which looks to be flats now, because just beside the door there, that says flat 1. There's a stone in the corner, which you may be able to see. I'll get a bit closer to see what this says. Leeds Industrial Cooperative Society Limited. This stone was laid by J.W. Waterhouse, director, October 23rd, 1909. There you go. Our next landmark appears on the right almost instantly. Welcome to South Milford's main recreational space. On the wall at the entrance is the Village War Memorial. No surprise then that this park, which is flanked by the Mill Dyke, is known as the South Milford Memorial Park. Google goes for the shorter South Milford Park version. The park is a registered charity run by local volunteers. Its committee are keen to promote healthy living through sport and exercise. That's why in here you'll find a little fitness trail. We've also got a parish notice board in here, so that job can be jobbed pretty quickly too. 11 left in Selby now. We're motoring through them, people. So it would appear South Milford is right under the flight path, as it were, for Sherburn Aero Club, because the planes, I can still hear them like I did in Sherburn. I can see one actually between these trees. You won't be able to, but it's about to come over here. Come on. It's coming now, promise you. There we go. There we go. It's the closest I've been to them since I've been here. In the corner, just as we exit the park, there's a small garden. Now, I couldn't quite read what the plaque says on this stone, but I did make out the word reflection. Next, we have the South Milford Women's Institute. This acts like a village hall because its very own website says it's ideal for both children and adults parties and for use as a club venue. Here's a bus stop. The number 493 bus to Pontefract stops here. In the background is Tea Post, which is a former post office. It's now a quirky, vibrant tea room. The road beside Tea Post leads to Mill Lane. It's up there where the mill, which gives South Milford its name, was sited. It was a water mill, confusingly named Sherburn Mill. There's no trace of it these days. Okay, so at this point we pass St Mary's Parish Church. We're not going into it from this side, we're going in from the other side because there's another landmark I want to talk about first, and then there's a path which links this street to the one that we'll go in off. So we'll leave this for a while, but this is it from this side. The building you could see at the back of the church was the church hall. Next we have a pub, and this has a very unusual, very Yorkshire name. I've been looking forward to saying this. This is the Queen at Oat Thatch, located at 101 High Street. 2 beer festivals are held here annually, so says Oat Pub. I recommend this one just for its name. Here's the footpath I was talking about. It looks pretty innocuous, but this turned into something of a mini adventure. This path is very narrow and it's very overgrown, and it's dark too. I'm having to bob right down. Oh, I wasn't going to record anything along here, but this is certainly one of those paths that needs recording because it's certainly unique at the moment. Probably not like this all the time. Blimey. Crikey. There we go. How about that? Wow. Now we'll go into the church. This is St Mary's, which forms a joint benefice with St Wilfrid's Church in Monk Fryston. Wow, that place seems like a lifetime ago. The parish was once conjoined with Sherburn and they separated in 1859. As such, the first entry in the parish records was made on the 1st of December 1860. St Mary's was consecrated in 1846. The land for the church was given by the University of Oxford, with additional land donated by a man named Benjamin Crossland. The costs of about £1,500 were covered by Sisters Elizabeth and Mary Isabella Gascoigne of Parlington Hall, who had their own pew in the church until 1875. This is the Grove House Community Centre. Even though T-Post is no longer a post office, one day a week you can access post office services here, Tuesdays between 12:30 and 2:30 p.m. South Milford didn't appear to have an old red phone box for a book exchange, but the locals seem to have repurposed this bus stop instead. It's a little makeshift, but it is tidy. Next, we've got the village primary school. South Milford Primary is another member of the Star Multi-Academy Trust. That's a familiar name to us now. Unusual for a village of this size, now on Low Street we have a petrol station. This is known as Southland Service Centre and it has a Marks and Spencer's food shop. Now, we haven't seen one of these for a long time. South Milford has a Royal British Legion Club. This is very much active too. Regular meetings are held in here Sundays at 11 a.m. To the east of Low Street, South Milford has seen a lot of recent development. Harvestaway is a good example. In the same way as Sherburn, there's been an influx of new residents here. This next part is also pretty residential as we make our way up to the centre of Low Street. In amongst all the houses is a BT telephone exchange. This one is still used by the looks of things. Now we're in the middle of Low Street and our next job is to find a ginnel between this and Caudle Way. On the way we'll pass Cumin Lounge, which is one of South Milford's former pubs. An Indian restaurant now, this is the former Black Bull. Before being transformed, it was derelict for a time with smashed and boarded up windows. The locals described it as an eyesore. These properties at the end of Caudle Way were interesting. Named railway cottages, this suggests they may have at one time housed railway workers. Caudle Way, by the way, is named after a local stream. Moving on, we see a post box next. We've already established there is a post office in South Milford, but this saves you a trip to the other end of the village if you live up this end. Around the corner onto Mill Lane, we've got South Milford's Cricket Club. The club are members of the Yorkshire Premier League North, currently playing in Division 1 West. Now, South Milford has within its boundaries 3 other areas of interest. The first of these is called the Maltings. Let's hop in the car and go find that. Just before we hit the road, we pass the former China Palace restaurant and takeaway right on the edge of the village along Low Street. I wonder what the future holds for this building. Now we've hit the A162 and we're heading for the Maltings, which is primarily one building, but there are other things around it which have that Maltings name. One of these is another tea rooms. It's to our left here, and right next door is the Milford Plants Garden Centre. You can watch planes take off here from Sherburn Aero Club too. It's a cool place. After crossing a bridge over the railway line close to Gascoigne Wood Junction, we've now turned right onto a narrow single-track road. We're heading for the Maltings. The Maltings is an organic waste treatment plant which from time to time emits a very pungent smell. It was established in 2008 to aid with landfill diversion and an ever-growing volume of food waste. Every year, the site takes some 15,000 tonnes of local green waste and generates 7,000 tonnes of compost. This compost is used for crop growth by the farms around South Milford, Lumby, Sherburn and Monk Fryston. This started life as something very different. It was built in 1862 and it was formerly a John Smith's brewery malt house. That's hardly surprising given the geography of the area. Don't forget, we're in a part of Yorkshire where there was historically clear running water and very fertile alluvial plains. That makes the perfect location for brewing beer. South Milford's parish boundaries also cover the hamlet of Lumby. The name Lumby is unique in the UK, and it's one of only 3 Lumbys in the world too. The other 2 are in Canada and Denmark. Lumby doesn't have a lot to talk about really, save for Old Quarry Road, which is the route we're going to use to access the place, and Lumby Hall, which is a guest accommodation for up to 16 people. The quarry to which the road name refers was called Town Quarry. It was the source of limestone for some of South Milford's buildings, like the church for example. In 2009, proposals were put forward to redevelop the old quarry site into a community nature area with things like paths, nesting boxes and seats. The fact there was a quarry here is no surprise. Newthorpe isn't far away, so of course Huddleston Quarry is close by too. That's the one which provided stone for York Minster. Now we've turned around to head back the other way. This time we'll go up Butts Lane. On the way though, I stopped briefly to check out Lumby's fantastic village green. Now if we follow Butts Lane, it will take us back towards South Milford, rejoining the village close to the church. Our last destination lies to the west of the main village, almost all on its own. So I don't think the residents of South Milford will mind me saying that I've left the absolute best while last. Take a look at this. That is the Steeton Hall Gateway. Let's learn a bit about it. Steeton Hall Gateway should not be confused with the other Steeton Hall, also within Selby, close to Tadcaster. This has been described in the past as a fair and stately structure in the brave days of old. A listed ancient monument, this is protected by English heritage. It's situated 1.5 miles west of South Milford. The gateway originally served a large hall. The hall was demolished and replaced by a house, and the house has since been converted into several dwellings. The gateway dates from the 15th century. It's one of 4 such structures which marked the corners of the estate that the hall belonged to. It has 2 arched passages. The large one in the centre allowed horsemen and carriages through. The smaller one to the left was for footmen. The gatehouse has a spiral staircase which leads into a large room above the arch, and a number of shields and coats of arms surround the structure. It seems as well that it lights up at night. There we go, look, there's a light here. So I imagine when it falls dark, it shines upon the building, and I bet that looks magnificent. If I can find a picture of it all lit up at night, it's going to go in today's picture bit, which by the way, is coming at you right now. And with Steeton Hall Gateway as my backdrop, that is South Milford complete. Another one down in Selby. I've enjoyed this one. It was a bit of a tough trek around the main village, I thought. It's sort of spaced out. The landmarks aren't all clustered together. They are sort of far apart. So at times I was walking with the camera in my hand and not filming anything. But you know, that's how it goes. Some are like that. But certainly the pieces I've done in the car and then this at the end made it all worth it. Thoroughly recommend you visit South Milford. It's got some amazing pieces of history. And We're moving on to the next one in Selby. There are only 11 left now. There are 4 around Tadcaster, there are 4 up in the northeastern corner towards York, and then there are 3 around Selby, one of which of course is Selby itself. I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot. This has been the parish of South Milford, and I'm out.